want to remove the entire Scottish Government. They have been focused on independence above everything else. Our health service has suffered, our education system has suffered, our funding for local government has been cut to the bone.
Douglas Ross, the leader of the Scottish Conservatives. Douglas, thanks for giving us your time.
Good afternoon.
Douglas, what did you make of what you just heard just there? No intention to resign, but ready to take on any vote of no confidence.
Well, I struggle to believe anything Humza Yousaf says. Let's just remember 48 hours before he ended the Butte House Agreement, his coalition with the Greens, he was saying it must continue. It was doing good work for Scotland. So Humza Yousaf's position on this and many other things have changed rapidly. And what we saw yesterday was a weak First Minister who took a decision to remove the Greens before they decided to jump themselves, but clearly hadn't thought through the consequences of his actions. He said it had reached a natural conclusion, the Butte House Agreement, and this was a new beginning for the SNP. But I firmly believe it's the beginning of the end, not just for this lame duck First Minister, but for the nationalists in government.
Now, you tabled a vote of no confidence in the First Minister yesterday. Today, Scottish Labour are saying that they're going to table a motion of no confidence in the entire government. Now, from what I understand, looking at the rules, you need 25 MSPs in a no confidence motion in order for it to be debated. Of course, Scottish Labour only have 22 MSPs. Will you be supporting Scottish Labour?
Yes, we will. But on your point, we were the only party on our own that could bring forward a vote of no confidence as the main opposition party, which is why we did that in Humza Yousaf yesterday. And that will be debated and voted on next week. And indeed, we have so far heard that all of the opposition parties will support the Scottish Conservative vote of no confidence in Humza Yousaf, barring the Alba Party representative at the moment. But if the opposition unite behind our Scottish Conservative motion, then we can remove Humza Yousaf from office. And I think that is crucially important because he has been a failure as First Minister, just like he was a failure as Justice Secretary, as Transport Secretary and as Health Secretary.
So what is more important to you, removing Humza Yousaf as First Minister or removing the entire Scottish Government?
Well, I want to remove the entire Scottish Government. They have been focused on independence above everything else. Our health service has suffered, our education system has suffered, our funding for local government has been cut to the bone, all while the SNP have obsessed about independence above the new priorities for people across Scotland. But what we've already seen in reaction to the Labour motion being put down by Anna Sawar is that is not gaining support from, crucially, the Greens. They have said they will back our motion of no confidence in Humza Yousaf. They are not saying the same about the motion of no confidence in the entire Scottish Government. I'll support that because I want to get rid of the Scottish Government, but ultimately we are on the brink of removing Humza Yousaf from office. He has been a failure as First Minister, and we have an opportunity next week to end his time in office.
But if you remove Humza Yousaf from office, then aren't you just going to face another SNP First Minister?
Well, if they cannot come up with a new leader in 28 days to put to Parliament and be a candidate that Parliament has confidence to vote for as First Minister, then we will have a Scottish election. And the Scottish Conservatives will relish that election. In a by-election just today for the local council in Arbroath, we won the seat. SNP, their vote share, it was down 6%. The Scottish Conservative vote share up 10.5%. We were victorious in that seat, and up and down Scotland, it's the Scottish Conservatives who are the title challengers to the SNP, and we can have some very good results as we've shown in our growth today.
Now, Ash Regan, the MSP who quit the SNP to become the Alba Party MSP, might well have a deciding vote in one of these votes of no confidence. Do you have a message for her?
Yes, I think opposition parties are there to hold the government to account. Ash Regan is clearly no longer a fan of the SNP. She resigned her membership of the SNP and left the party. Indeed, when she did, Humza Yousaf, her former boss as Justice Secretary, when she was Community Safety Minister, said she was no great loss. I think she will be reflecting very carefully on what was said immediately after she left the SNP and what is being offered now. Now is an opportunity to remove the First Minister who has failed Scotland, who has let down Scotland, not just in his current role as First Minister, but in every single role he's held. while he's been in the SNP Scottish Government.
Now, this means that the government no longer have a majority in favour of independence. What impact do you think this will have on Scottish politics?
Well, I think it's absolutely crucial that we get back onto the real issues that matter to people. I've been knocking on doors up and down the country, and people want the focus to be on our health service, on our education system, on improving the opportunities for local government to be able to provide the services that people rely on, to get a just system that's on the side of the victims rather than criminals. If we can get the focus away from independence, more on investment in infrastructure and so many other priorities, then we can actually move Scotland forward. But we can't with Humza Yousaf in charge and the nationalists running the Scottish Government.
Now, Humza Yousaf, as you heard there, has been saying that he is going to be contacting all the party leaders later today, asking them to meet him. I'm assuming you will be meeting him. He's also been saying that he is confident he will win a vote of no confidence. What will you be saying to him when you meet him later on?
Well, I think the numbers are on an absolute knife edge. And if Humza Yousaf does win the vote of no confidence next week, it could be on the casting vote of the presiding officer and only getting to that stage with the support of Alex Salmond's Alba party. I think that is not the right approach for the First Minister of Scotland. If he doesn't have a significant majority having confidence with them, in him within the Scottish Parliament, then he must consider his position. But that's why the Scottish Conservatives and I lodged that motion of no confidence yesterday. I think that's why the other opposition parties have supported us in doing so. And I think we are on the brink of removing this failed, lamed up First Minister from office. And that's the first step in getting the priorities of the people of Scotland at the top of the agenda for the Scottish Parliament and the Scottish Government.
Douglas Ross, leader of the Scottish Conservatives, thank you for your time.